This argument has been going on for years. It's time to settle this. Which Pop-Tart is the best Pop-Tart?
Hi everybody, and welcome to Advance Online, the best thing to watch on a Sunday night. I'm Bennett, and I'm really honored to introduce this wonderful program tonight. I'm an 11th grader at the Ballantyne campus, and I don't know about you guys, but through this time, I've had a lot of free time. I've been binge watching a lot of Netflix. But after this program, and maybe some other time, I encourage you to go outside, go for a run, contact some of those people that you haven't spoken to in a long time. But for now, I'm really excited for what we have coming up in this program. We've got some worship and a wonderful message coming right up.
Who am I that the highest king would welcome me? I was lost, but he brought me in. Oh, his love for me. Oh, his love for me. Who the Son sets free, all is free indeed. I'm a child of God, yes I am. Free at last, he has ransomed me. Oh, his grace runs deep. And while I was a slave to sin, Jesus died for me. Yes, he died for me. Who the Son sets free, all is free indeed. I'm a child of God, yes I am. In my Father's house, there's a place for me. I'm a child of God, yes I am. I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. Yes, I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. Oh, I am who you say I am. 'Cause who the Son sets free, all is free indeed. I'm a child of God, yes I am. In my Father's house, there's a place for me. I'm a child of God, yes I am.
I love you, Lord. Oh, your mercy never fails me. All my days I've been held in your hands. From the moment that I wake up until I lay my head, I will sing of the goodness of God. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so, so good. goodness of God. I love your voice. You have led me through the fire in darkest night. You are close like no other. I've known you as a father. I've known you as a friend. And I have lived in the goodness of God. All my life you have been faithful. Yes, you have. All my life you have been so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. With my life laid down, I'm surrendering now. I give you everything. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. Oh, I'm gonna sing of the goodness of God.
Hey guys, welcome to Advance Online. I'm Elena Floyd. I'm from our Waxhaw campus. And guys, I'm so excited we get to hang out in this weird virtual way. Also, I wanted to welcome you to my home. Yes, I'm recording this here in my home. And it's kind of interesting because that's what we're talking about today, is how anywhere you are, whether it's in your room like I am or in your house, God can use you to impact other people. You can change the world right where you are. And I know that sounds kind of impossible during this time of quarantine and social distancing and all of that. But as we look through some stories in the Bible, a specific one in particular, we're going to see that Jesus, his power and his grace and all of that, he can do anything through us if we just step in. And so that's what we're going to look at today. And here's what I want you to do. I want you to get out your Bible, get out your phone, whatever, but get onto Luke 5. And we're going to be reading through Luke 5, 1 through 11. And for the first few verses, I'm going to kind of paraphrase it, but feel free to follow along, fact check me, all of that. But here's where it starts. A little bit before Luke 5, 1 through 11, Jesus has been going town to town and healing people, caring for people, teaching, sharing God with others, right? And he gets to here in verse 1, and it says, he was preaching on the shore of the Sea of Galilee. So he's at the Sea of Galilee. And what I love is this next part. It says that these people, this crowd, has been just following him. And at this point, they're just pressing up against him. They're pressing on him. And my thought process is, if they've been following him for a while, and I don't think deodorant was a thing back then, you gotta believe they're sweaty and they're stinky, and he probably got an armpit in his face, all that fun stuff, right? So he is still loving people even through all the craziness. And so they get to the Sea of Galilee, and he's on the shores. And as this crowd and chaos is happening, he looks and he sees Simon Peter and the other fishermen. He sees that they have brought their boats ashore, and they're taking their nets out, and they start washing their nets. And what that shows is that they're finishing up for the day. And I think at this point, Jesus is like, well, that's kind of weird. Why are they stopping now? And so he goes over to Simon Peter and he's like, hey, can I get in your boat? And Simon Peter's like, okay. And he's like, yeah, just take me a little bit out from shore. And so Simon's like, all right. So he takes him out from shore. And so let's say here's the shore, right? And Simon Peter, they come out here. And then Jesus, the crowd is still standing there. Jesus continues to teach, but from a boat to the crowd on shore. Now, I don't know about you, but for some reason in my head, the first thing that popped in my mind was, what if I went to a concert? And I know it's not the same thing, but just track with me. What if I went to like a Harry Styles concert and we're all waiting and we think he's going to come up on stage and, do his concert, but instead somebody's like, everybody look to the left. And then the whole crowd looks and there's like a river next to the concert venue. I know, I'm very creative here. There's like a river next to the concert venue and there's a yacht and Harry Styles plays his whole set on that yacht for all of us on the shore. Like, what a wild visual I'm getting, right? And so this happens and by the end of this, once the crowds are done, once he's done kind of teaching them, we're going to pick up in 4, right? In verse 4. When he had finished teaching, he said to Simon, now go out where it is deeper and let down your nets to catch some fish. Master, Simon replied, we worked hard all last night and didn't catch a thing. But if you say so, I'll let the nets down again. And this time their nets were so full of fish, they began to tear. A shout for help brought their partners in the other boat, and soon both boats were filled with fish and on the verge of sinking. Now, as you know, with my Harry Styles reference, I'm going to bring in another visual here. If you've ever watched Finding Nemo, I need you to go back, throwback. Yes, get back into that, okay? You know that scene where Nemo is hurt and he's at the bottom of the net in Finding Nemo? You know what I'm saying. And the only way he can get out is if all of these fish, like thousands of fish, get into the net and start swimming down. And it's like thousands and thousands and thousands, right? And I started thinking about this because when in here it says on the verge of sinking, in Finding Nemo, you notice when they're all swimming down, the boat starts rocking, right? It's like rocking. That's what I'm imagining here. And what's so neat is that God shows his abundance through this. He's like, yeah, you're going to go catch some fish. And Simon Peter's like, you say so. We've been trying, but I don't know, Jesus, like if you say so. But then they do it. And instead of just catching a few fish, Jesus is like, oh, I'm going to hit you with like all the fish. Get ready. And so it is just an abundance of fish, right? So if we keep going, it says, when Simon Peter realized what had happened, he fell to his knees before Jesus and said, oh Lord, please leave me. I'm such a sinful man. For he was awestruck by the number of fish they had caught, as were the others with him. His partners, James and John, the sons of Zebedee, were also amazed. Jesus replied to Simon, don't be afraid. From now on, you'll be fishing for people. And as soon as they landed, they left everything and followed Jesus. So we left off right where all of the fish were in the net, right? And they pull them out and it's just this abundance of fish. And the first thing that happens is Simon Peter falls to the ground on his knees and he's like awestruck by what Jesus just did. And he's like, I'm sinful. I don't even deserve this. Like, whoa, this is crazy. And then Jesus's response to his awe is he goes, don't be afraid. And it says, don't be afraid. From now on, you'll be fishing for people. And so here's what I'm seeing. Here's what I'm seeing what God is doing with Jesus through this story, right? First thing is, in verses 6-7, when we see all the fish, God brings abundance. He sets up this whole story. He sets up everything for us to step into abundance, right? Because that was the first thing he did. This is his process. He saw Simon Peter, he saw what they needed, and what did he do? He stepped into the boat, and then when he stepped into the boat, he still shared who Jesus was. He used that platform. And so out of abundance, we're able to experience awe. That's the second thing. Abundance moves us to awe. And with awe, that means we see God's power. And I don't know about you, but I've looked back at my life and I'm like, I feel like if I had designed my life the way I wanted it to be, it still wouldn't be as good as what God has done in my life, right? He's brought miracles. He's done amazing things. And so that's what we see is abundance. When we see what God has done, when he just overwhelms us with who he is, that moves us to awe, which is kind of like a reverence. You see that you don't have the power. It's all Jesus. And then from there, if we look in verse 10 in that second part, like 10b, it goes on to say, Jesus replied to Simon, "Don't be afraid. From now on, you'll be fishing for people." That's Jesus's response to Simon Peter's awe, right? He decides, and this is what I want you to write down, awe helps us hear instruction. When we realize we can't do it on our own, it's nothing we've done, we definitely don't have the power to do it, that kind of helps us to be able to go, oh wait, I can trust Jesus's instruction. I can trust what he's saying because of what he's already done. I'm so in awe of what he's done. And then the next thing, and this is probably the most exciting thing to me, if we read the last verse, it says, "And as soon as they landed, they left everything and followed Jesus." So with this, when we experience awe, and that allows us to walk in and understand instruction and accept it, then that moves us into inspiration, right? It moves us into inspiration, which pushes us forward. And that's what happens here. It says they left everything and followed Jesus. And so for you, I want you to ask the question, what has God done in your life to inspire you to move forward? And what is he doing right now that can move you forward? And even if maybe you don't believe that you have inspiration or abundance or something to give, can I just say, I was listening to the sermon the other day, and this brought so much freedom and so much joy to me. And this is what this pastor said. He said, if you have a relationship with Jesus, you have an abundance of grace, joy, hope, and love. All of those things are what the world needs right now. I mean, our world is filled with fear. It's filled with uncertainty. It's filled with all of that. And if we truly believe in Jesus, then we have this abundance. It's not like, oh, we're going to get the abundance. No, we have it. And here's the thing about abundance is in the Bible, Jesus doesn't say, here's abundance, keep it all to yourself. No. When we hear abundance, when God talks about abundance, abundance is to be shared because he gave us everything we needed and then he gave us more. That means we don't need that more. That's for someone else. We need to go out and share it, right? And so how does that look right now in your homes? How does that look for you in your life? Because I know you guys aren't really seeing each other because of school. Like you have to do online schooling. You have to be texting each other to stay in contact and all of that. But my first question is, what is your platform that you have right now? Because just like Jesus did, he looked and he saw his platform, right? And his platform was the boat that Simon Peter was in. So what's your boat? What is your platform? Is it your house? Is it your neighborhood? Is it Instagram? Is it TikTok? Is it Twitch? Is it just with your siblings? Like, what is your platform? So look, find that, become aware of that. And then the next thing is, not only did he see his platform, but then he stepped into it, right? He stepped into the boat. So maybe your platform right now is, we're all on our phones, right? Like, what if your platform is your phone and you were able to bring encouragement, love, the awestruck wonder of who Jesus is to others through that? And here are some specific examples, because I know sometimes we feel like, oh, that sounds great, but how do I actually do this? Well, an idea that I came up with is with FaceTime. What if you got a group of your friends? Start with your friends. What if you got a group of your friends on FaceTime? And instead of just talking about surface level things, which is totally fine, do that. But what if you were able to steer the conversation to asking some really good questions to them? Maybe it's, how are you feeling? Like, what's going on? And then maybe that moves into, like, do you feel like God is here with you in this moment right now? Or how is God inspiring you in this moment right now? So how can we leverage our platforms to talk about Jesus? And I also want to say, like, our platforms look different. And platforms aren't just actual places. I would say platforms are even kind of the gifts that God has given us. Like, specifically for me, I love to sing and I love to play guitar. And one of the things I felt like God was wanting me to do was to share my worship time. So I do this thing called the Worship Diaries. It's on IGTV. But I started doing that because I knew I needed to take time to worship with Jesus. And I was like, wait, he wants us to worship in community. So I'm going to share it with others. So maybe that's you. Maybe you need to share some of your songs. Or maybe you are an artist, which I wish I was an artist like you. How can you use that to encourage others? Does that look like painting something that inspires you, that God has inspired in you, and then sharing that with other people? And not just sharing what it looks like, but sharing the why behind it. Or maybe for you, your platform and where you're at right now is you're really good at video games and you love to get on Twitch and you love watching other people play video games or blah, 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 whatever it is. How can you be a positive voice? How can you bring awe and wonder on Twitch? I know that sounds a little crazy, but I think if we truly believe that God can bring all of these fish and bring them up, can't we believe he can also do something really big over Twitch, over Fortnite, over whatever you play? Whatever it is, God can do it, right? He can use that platform. And lastly, I think one of the things he wants us to do, because you see when he got in the boat, Jesus didn't just sit there. He shared, right? He shared. How can you share your story about what God has done in your life? Not only share your gifts, maybe you're funny and you can make some funny videos. I need that right now. I need joy. So please make funny videos and put that positivity out. But what if you were able to share what Jesus has done in your life? Because that is you sharing your abundance of grace and joy with other people, right? And lastly, I just want to encourage you guys that you can do this right now. It doesn't matter where you are. You have everything you need to be able to change the world. You have everything you need to impact others. And so here's a little challenge for you. And I know it might sound a little cheesy, but I think, and I know that this could be really, really cool. What if all of us decided we would get on Instagram or TikTok and you made some sort of video, something that just talked about what God has done in your life and share that with people? Because think about it. If we're able to get all of our 6 campuses to do that and it's flooding the internet with all this positivity and God and praising him in all these different ways, think about how many people we can reach just from your homes, just from your rooms, just from your phone. So guys, I am praying for you this week. I believe in you. We love you, and I hope you have an amazing, awe-struck week. All right, bye guys.
What's up, Advance? It's Gabby Leon from the Advance South Park campus. How great was that message? I especially loved what Elena said about how God doesn't ask us to keep abundance to ourselves. Instead, he asks us to share it with the people around us. So this week, let me remind you of this challenge. Take this week and take a minute to decide if you want to share your story through a video, or you want to share a song that you wrote, or you want to share some art that's been inspired by God. Take the time to share what God has done in your life and share how good he's been. Imagine for a minute how awesome your feed would look and how awesome your friend's feed would look if it was filled with God's goodness and all that he's done for his people, all right? So please do that, and don't forget to tag us when you do it, whether it's TikTok or Instagram or wherever. Tag Advance, okay? Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. That's the way you can keep up with everything that's going on with the live stream, which happens every Sunday at 7. Before you go, let me pray for you real quick. Dear Lord Jesus, you are good and you are faithful, and I'm so grateful that we can find ways to connect in the middle of this social distancing. I thank you because you have been good and you've given us stories to share about how great you've been and how you've saved all of us. I pray that this week you can give us the courage to really step out and share what you've done in our lives, Lord. I thank you for everyone in advance and every campus, Lord, and I thank you that you've blessed all of us. In your name I pray. Amen. All right, y'all. Have a great week. Can't wait to see you again.